Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez. Welcome to Uncensored. We are back with another episode of Q&A. I've heard your comments and here it is. But before we go any further, I wanted to show you something. Dodgers, World Series, baby. Dodgers. How about them Dodgers? I even went out and bought myself a bunch of apparel. It was a wonderful game, and I'm sure you guys would agree, especially that Baquez catch in left field when he knocked out Kike Hernandez. I watched it with glee. I also want to give you guys an update. We're going to be doing long-form videos. We're going to start kicking in these long-form videos and profiles. We're going to do a profile on quite a few members. So they're going to be coming along. We've also started Wicked Women. That'll be another episodic series. But what I wanted to tell you guys was that I got a little bit of swag for you. Fortunately, I ran into an old buddy, this guy right here, Mundo Mendoza. I was at a gang conference. I was at a gang conference in some part of the United States, and he gave me some swag to give away. He signed one of his videos. He also signed a poster, which I'm willing to give away to one of the viewers. That is his signed right here. I mean, I'll sign it too if you guys want to, but I think it's kind of presumptuous to believe that you would want my signature. So for the winner, I could sign these if you want them, or if you just want them with Mundo's signature, that's fine too. But I'm trying to figure out how to give them away, and who to give them to. But they're here, they're up for the pickings, and I just say send an email to Rene Enriquez, Uncensored at proton.me, and come up with some ideas. I think the best ideas, I mean, how to pick the winner, what kind of drawing to have for subscription members only. Not members only, subscribers. This is open to all subscribers. If you're a subscriber, then you have action at winning some of this swag. Like one person will win a poster, one person will win a CD, and another person will win the other unsigned CD. But we have it here for you folks. With that said, let's get right into the Q&A. I pulled a bunch of them this morning. And here's one from @J777. Rene, there's a guy that tells stories on a different channel. His name is Conejo from Browle. He was a made guy. Maybe you can interview him. He has great stories as well. Well, I'm sorry to inform you, Jay, that he wasn't a made guy. He was never a made guy. And all those stories he tells. Look, first, I want to say this, with all due respect to Conejo from Browle. I don't spit on anybody's boots, right? That's not me. That's not my get down. That's not Uncensored's lane. We're not going to get into doing reactions. I'm just here to tell you the guy wasn't a made guy. And most of the stories he tells are stories that we told him. Obviously, some of his stuff is true because he's been in prison, but he wasn't a made guy. He never was. So that's all I got to say about that. This one is from Fayastuda, @Fayastuda. Does it trip you out sometimes? Do you sit back every now and then and think that, man, I'm not doing life in prison after everything I've done? And not only am I not, I'm actually on YouTube and people are not embracing but not shunning me, you. I'm going to read these as they're written. So there's some typos and stuff. It's coming out the way they wrote them, okay? Myself being one of those individuals, either the fact that you get to speak freely from time to time of what you have done, thought of doing, or were going to carry out. You do not boast, and that is commendable in itself. As you say, not stroking your ego. FBI profilers have always interest myself in the manner pertaining to psychology overall, to just get in the mind of a bona fide person that has will without a thought take a life. This is truly more of a statement than a comment than it is an inquiry. It warrants nor holds expectations of an answer, just thinking out loud. In any case, I'm in awe of the channel, where it's truly an entity all its own. Chin chin, sir. You have been given another lease on this plane, and from what I surmise, you're not allowing any ticking of the hands of time to be squandered. Chin chin. Well, I don't know what chin chin means, but I think that's from over the pond somewhere. But man, that's a heck of a question. It's kind of like a shotgun question. Yeah, I really do think about it. I feel blessed. Like every moment I feel blessed that I'm here, and I'm not out for accolades from anybody. If I do receive them from a viewer who's been impacted by my videos, those are the most rewarding. I got one from a 17-year-old the other day that said that my videos and my book changed his life, and he left his gang and he wanted to live a whole entirely different life, which for me was rewarding because that was the objective of the Black Hand, and it's very rewarding to me. But thank you so much for your comment. This one is by Dosh Poles. Has any La M hit taken place outside of California, like another state or in Mexico or in another country? Excluding the ones in federal prisons, I'm talking about the outside world. Oh, sure. There have been hits that have taken place in Mexico. I mean, I don't think I've done a video on that yet, and I should. I should do a video on it. But many Mexican Mafia members have been killed in Mexico at the hand of carnales and the cartels with the acquiescence of the Emir. So that answers your question. Next question is Hector Hernandez GL2QG. Ese Veracruz, ese Veracruz muy valiente. Mejor lo hubieran hecho miembro de la M. Mis respetos para ese Veracruz. Si alguien sabe de él, me gustaría saber qué pasó con él. Y para Samuel el Negro, mejor se hubiera venido para un pueblito de acá a vivir en paz. Si puede decir que desde el principio que la M no lo aceptaba, mejor se hubiera desafanado. Se podría decir que Samuel le tocó la mala suerte en esta vida. No hay duda de eso. Todo le salió mal. Qué triste, la verdad. It's true. I mean, Veracruz was ese hombre fue muy valiente, muy honorable. Y el Samuel le tocó la mala suerte. Eso es. Pero así corre la agua en la clica. Nadie tiene suerte, solo los viejos. Hay unos pocos que viven en la clica y se pueden morir naturalmente. But the reality is you die in the organization. And it's not a soft, kind death. It's kind to nobody. Pero gracias por tu comentario. Lo agradezco. And I know my Spanish is terrible, but it's what I'm doing, bro. Okay, this is Dosh Pulse. Dosh Pulse got another one. Fox just accepted a plea last month where he will do 2 years in state prison and then get deported afterwards. His federal charges got dropped. Seems like he's in questionable standing, to say the least. I haven't seen a deal like that offered to any active member in good standing. My only question is, why didn't he ask for a deal where he could obtain citizenship in exchange for his cooperation like they do to brothers from the cartel just recently? Seems like they didn't want to offer it, or he doesn't have interest in staying in the U.S. Either way it goes, he might have to live in hiding when he goes to Mexico, because it seems like he might have also offered information against one of the cartels that operates in his hometown of Michoacan. Now, look, I welcome everybody's comment, and everybody's welcome to express their opinions in the comment section, but I have never heard that Fox Tapia, Uncle Fester, has cooperated. I have not seen paperwork on it. I have not heard rumor of it. Did he get a good deal? Yes. Was it surprising to me? Yes. But that, to me, is not evidence of cooperation. I've seen crazier stuff happen. So I'm just going to say Fox hasn't cooperated. If he has, it's been a well-kept secret. And I know a lot of people in the know, and they don't know about it. And if they do, they are not speaking of it. With that said, we're moving on to the next one. This is Dosh Poles again. Have you traveled to Mexico since getting out of prison? Would you ever go to Mexico to visit family or friends or relatives you may have? I am not going to disclose where I traveled to, but I will say it's safe to travel. If you don't function in shady areas with shady people, you're fine. The Mexican Mafia only has influence in 3 locations: jails, gang territories, and drug houses. You don't go there, you don't have a problem. Next question is Mrs. G, 1997. Mrs. G, go Dodgers, go Dodgers, go Dodgers. Now that the calls are free and tablets, I wonder if these individuals are smarter when talking on the phone or sending messages. when a cell phone is not available. On another topic, what a game. Dodgers. Yeah, that's right. Dodgers. Dodger blue. Uh, you know, I think that the majority of them still talk openly, and I don't think it's because of a lack of intelligence, right? Or it's a lack of discretion, certainly a lack of discretion. Uh, but they don't care. I think that's the hard, cold fact of it. And I think that one of the guys, Danny Pena, who's a pretty sharp guy, he's a pretty intelligent guy, said that it's nature of the business. We have to communicate. And it's not that we don't care. It's just that you have to communicate if you run an organization. If you run an organization, excuse me. So I think that's the long and short of it. Next question is from Zora Guardo 6655. You've had 2 episodes talking about the murder of Pete Cordero, but never said who was responsible. All you would say is it had nothing to do with Fox. On Renegade Media, they tell different opinions also. I'm all confused, but you did let us know that Cordero was soon to be an Amero, but passed before, and it just drops off there. Yeah, I haven't identified the people because I don't know who did it. And I just don't know who the name of the person. I don't have a graphic of the individual. I know the circumstances around the case, right? I listened to the wiretaps. It happened after I had dropped out. So there's only so much information I can provide you, right? And I'm giving you the breakdowns and the calls. It doesn't mean I know everything about the organization. You know, to be an expert in the organization is to know more than the average individual. That's the qualifications in court. Certainly, there are some experts that are better than others and have a vast amount of knowledge. Luis Hernandez, one of our commenters, is one of those individuals that has a vast amount of knowledge. I say I have a fair amount of knowledge about the organization, but I don't know everything. Like, I remember the incidents, and I have interpreted the calls. I have my subjective experience as a member and all the cases that I worked in. But that still limits my intelligence on the Mexican Mafia because there's no one person that can know everything. So if that has disappointed you, you know, I'm so sorry. But I just don't know everything about it. Okay. And this is from John Loftness, 5210. Can you speak of the real reason Tati was hit by Chuco and Chicali at ADX? I heard it was because Tati had ordered a hit on a popular MM member. Can you comment on whether or not this is true? Well, there's 2 schools of thought on that. One school of thought from an individual I spoke with who was in the know and present at the time stated that that Tati had defended Victor Murillo. That's the popular Mexican Mafia member that was killed, Victorio. He was killed by Inch, and I believe it was Chacho was involved in that as well. I could be mistaken, but I know Inch participated in it. And during that campaigning against Victorio, who was killed up in Northern California, Tati was one of the first ones to speak on his behalf and stated that if he has to go, I'll do it myself. So that's one school of thought. Another school of thought is he was out there, he participated in the campaign, and the brothers loved Victorio up in the feds. So Tati was doomed no matter what. I also have that video of that incident that took place. I'm considering how to post it here so we don't get to strike or get restricted on our advertising, but we'll figure out a way. I do have the video. But I think there's some truth to it, that Tati was ultimately held responsible for the death of Murillo, and that's why Chuco, Richard Santiago, and Chicali Rivera, I think his last name, Chicali Rivera, did what they did to him. Next one is Sundowner 14. Rene, can you do a story on Diablo from NF? From Tracy, he said he had talks with you when you guys are being transported in the van somewhere. He ran into you maybe twice or 3 times, and he said it was like a chess match talking to you. Well, I don't think I was that smart, so thank you, Diablo. I think his name is, I forgot his real name. It starts with a D. But yeah, I do know him. I met him on the van. We were transporting to, I believe, Sutter Coast. A couple of times I was having some surgeries done. I had a torn ACL, and I had an acromioplasty on my right shoulder. And it was those times that we would sit in the van, and we were cordial to each other. That's the thing that a lot of people don't know. They think that's animosity between the Mexican Mafia and the Nuestra Familia was like, we disrespect each other. No, we were professionals. So when I seen an NF member, I talked to them like any other guy. I mean, those guys were gunslingers too. You can't take a darn thing from them. I mean, there's some hogs in that organization. And I treated everybody with the same semblance of respect that I expected, that I wanted to be treated with, not that I expected. Maybe that was my mentality then. I expected to be respected, which is completely counterintuitive. But I would treat people with the same way I wanted to be treated, and I treated Diablo that way. I mean, I spoke to him. I was cordial. I was respectful. I was professional. But I also knew that he was probably trying to get information from me, like any kind of information that they could glean from me is intelligence, right? Who I'm housed with, where we're at, anything. And I wasn't that close-lipped, I'm like, yeah, I'm a carnal. Yeah, these brothers are with me. I didn't care if they knew. They knew where we were at. So it wasn't like I was telling secrets or anything. And he was a good guy. He seemed like a good dude, like respectful guy. So that story is true. Next question. NA Life 951. Do you think Turtle will get a date after doing that interview about 6 months ago? You're talking about Marky Quiroz. I saw the interview and it was a great piece, right? But it tells one side, right? It tells the side that the journalist wanted told and that Marky Quiroz wanted to narrate. And like I say, I believe in rehabilitation for everybody. If I could be rehabilitated, then anybody can. So if Marky is a changed man, then yeah, I hope he gets paroled. But I think the one thing that's going to doom him, and this is the reality because not one active member has been paroled, ever. The only one was Memo Garcia back in Folsom, back in the day when they had the stress program. He paroled right after that. After he went to the stress program in Vacaville, he paroled in good standing. Only Mexican Mafia member I know. And there is the question of Rube Soto, but he didn't parole. His sentence was reduced. So we're talking about gaining parole from the BPH, the Board of Prison Hearings, and having that decision affirmed by the gubernatorial review panel, because there is a reversal panel in the governor's office, and they are very effective at what they do. They will not let out active Mexican Mafia members, AB members, BGF members. I don't know of any that have been released that have been active and had recent 1030s dropped on them. You got to consider that Marky is an active Mexican Mafia member and one of the strongholds, I believe it's Centinela, or multiple Mexican Mafias are at, and there are murders occurring in that prison. And you got to be, unless you're naive, you got to understand that 1030s are being dropped on Marky Quiroz on a daily basis. So with that said, I think he could have all the rehabilitation in the world. He could have all the academics in the world. He could have all the support, the greatest parole plans. He could have achieved milestones in college and this contribution, giving back to the community and reuniting blacks and Mexicans by creating a basketball league that he created. But that pales in comparison to his institutional record, which is what they're going to look at. That confidential record is what's going to be used against him. 5 days ago, by Curls Dog 13. Oh, no, excuse me, I jumped. Rich Est, RICHEST -M97. Mr. Enriquez, maybe one day you can answer my question. I heard that these days that if you fall off, you can sometimes buy your way to good graces with the fellows. Is this true? Absolutely true. But it's facility specific. Say you come to my yard, and I have the yard, I'm a carnal there, and you have questionable behavior or questionable paperwork, you can pay me a stipend every month, $500, $1,000, $10,000, whatever it is, right? And you'll be okay on that yard. It's happened multiple times. There are multiple documented cases of it. So this is not an untruth. Okay, let's go to Cobia Killer 7575. Mr. Enriquez, do you still have sleepless nights, worried about someone finding you? I couldn't imagine being removed from that world and not being utterly paranoid 24/7. Well, I suffer from complex PTSD. You cannot live an extremely violent life, to be subjected to it, witness it, be victim of it, without it affecting you. So it affects me. I do have nightmares sometimes, violent nightmares where I fight and but they're less frequent than they were. I've been to therapy. It's the radical transition from prison and that violent world to this relative peace is a lot. It's a lot, and it was hard for me to deal with. But I'm in a good place. I think that PTSD is experienced by a lot of ex-convicts, and we're going to do an episode on that PTSD and post-incarceration syndrome. Adapting to the outside world. Somebody suggested in one of the comments, like, how do you control your anger and how do you stay in a good place? So we're going to do that. But yeah, I still feel it. I do. I'm not afraid. When it happens, it's going to happen. But I'm not afraid. I don't, walk around looking over my shoulders or anything. I take precautions. I have some security layers and measures that I enjoy. So let's just leave it at that. Okay, this guy's name is Tin Ench, E-N-C-H, Dig Bick. Yeah, we get that. Why did you and your wife separate? Wasn't she the person who was there through all these hard times? Says this hard times. She left you, or you chose to divorce? Man, that's deep, dude. It's deep. It's all my doing. I take complete and utter responsibility. I thought it was going to be Shangri-La, Camelot, Nirvana. I thought it was going to be this beautiful place that we were happy and we achieved all our dreams. But I think the reality was that I destroyed the relationship. I wasn't used to living with people. It was hard for me to acclimate. It was hard for me to surrender my autonomy. All those things that came into play. And I don't think that any amount of preparation can get you ready for having another person sleep next to you after decades and decades and decades alone. So I take responsibility. She left me. It was, and she was right by doing so. I didn't deserve her, and that's the reality. I mean, it's just unfortunate that I disappointed her, and I'm truly sorry for that, and I wish I could undo what I've done, but I can't. And without saying anything else more personal, I think that will address that question. And that pretty much. Okay, I have a couple more questions here. Let's go to Mandota Fest. No, Mandota Finest, 2714. As an ex-convict who affiliated with the Bulldogs and CDC, I'm curious to know, how did Palomino from Fresno gain his authority? I've been familiar with him for decades and didn't understand how he was able to operate. I'm aware a little more now and come to understand he wasn't looked at as an enemy and vice versa, although we were enemies by affiliations. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It wasn't Palomino that brought about the peace treaty between the Fresno Bulldogs and the Mexican Mafia. It was me and little Maurice. We had went to court, I think for Vincent Bruce, and we had laid over in Folsom State Prison. And a Bulldog there sent us some weed, and we were smoking the weed, right? We smoked a few joints, and we talked to him in the vent. And there was another camarada on the vent, and they said that they wanted to come into the fold. And it was because of Palomino's son being a Bulldog that we took it back to the Bay and sent it to him. We says, hey man, we're all for this. To give him a tacit approval to program together on the yard, that they have a seat on the mesa, but it required that they had to take care of their own, right? And we made this agreement. It went through the whole organization. It was agreed upon pretty promptly because of Palomino's son. It's like, hey, how are we going to target this man's son because he's a Fresno Bulldog when it's his son, right? And it went through. It went through pretty smoothly, and it wasn't until the Bulldogs balked at eliminating one of their own when the time came that rug was pulled out from under them and they were targeted again. But much respect to the Bulldogs. Palomino did have an understanding with them because of his son, but he never was a big juice guy. Palomino was a quiet guy, older carnal. He wasn't outspoken. And that's just who he was. I'm not taking anything from the man. But it wasn't him that came up with the original concept. And I'm not trying to claim the fame, none of that stuff. I don't need that. But that was the reality of how it happened. Okay. Okay, here's another one. Nancy Mosqueda, 2429. I grew up in Artesia, same time you and Sammy did. Have you ever reached out to the family members of the victims you have eliminated? I'm changing the word. When we lose children, a part of us died inside. I hear you, Nancy Mosqueda. I too lost a child, and I know that feeling. And I think that brought about a realization. You know, you could take all those courses and victim awareness, and you could do the reconciliation letters and write them letters and send them to the DA or have them submitted to your BPH packet. And you could take all that self-help stuff that you want in prison, but nothing drives it home like when it happens to you. So I completely identify with this. And yes, I have. The victims' families testified at my hearings multiple times. The Galvadon family members made appearances, circulated petitions, went to the media, talked to the newspaper, talked to the news crews, hired attorneys to prevent my parole. And I understood it. I didn't understand it at the time, but I understand it now. And they were right to do so. I mean, you could never fill a void like that. I mean, once something like that is taken from you, it never comes back, and the pain never ends. So I think they're right in doing so and what they did. But I wrote to the district attorney, who is now a judge in Van Nuys, Frank Johnson, and I asked him that I didn't want to write the victims directly because it's illegal to do so, and you'll get denied parole. So I sent him to the district attorney's office, the judge now. I submitted letters of reconciliation where I essentially apologized. Not essentially, really apologize, and heartfelt apology. And I apologized to them. I didn't ask them for forgiveness because I didn't deserve it. You know, how could you ask somebody that you've hurt so badly for forgiveness? Like, forgive me for what I did to you after I created a lifetime of pain for you. You can't ask that. I didn't. I'm sure that other people have, but I didn't. But I have made attempts. Here's another one. Hey, Rene, did you ever have a chance to know MM member Ernest Kilroy Roybal? According to Street TV, he's the only member to have paroled in good standing and then died of old age just a few years ago. He paroled in 1993. I think, and I did know him. I knew him well. In fact, he lived a couple doors down from me on AA1 in Folsom State Prison, 5 block. And I really liked him at first. At first. There's a caveat to that. Yeah, I went to his house one day, and they told me, hey, take care of Shug. They used to call him Shug. S-U-G-E, like Suge Knight. They used to call him Shug. We all called him Shug because he was a boxer. Or he used to be in his younger years. And they said, take care of Shug because he tends to overdose when he has the bag, right? So I went to the house, and what happened? I overdosed. But he was good with me. He was a great guy. He used to use his Grecian formula in his hair. And when he didn't have it, his hair would turn orange. Had like an orange tinge to it. But I knew him well. And contrary to his belief, he did not leave in good standing. He did not parole in good standing. He's not the only MM member. Because he wasn't in good standing. He was stabbed by Sleepy Huerta in Tehachapi in 1988. He paroled 5 years later, but he was isolated during that time on walk alone. He was on disregard status from the organization. No camaradas could do anything for him or talk to him. He was like a pariah. So I get it. It was his story, and that's his legacy. But that's just not reality. And I think that about wraps it up on the Q&A, folks. I hope I've addressed these issues for you. I pick them randomly, because there's hundreds of comments to pull from. And I hope that satisfies your need for Q&A for this month. Again, here's swag. I want to give it away to you folks. We'll have a book drawing coming up soon. We're going to restrict that to members only, and previous members that have won cannot win again. I'm looking for maybe a moderator, a previous member or subscriber that has won. Figure out a way to give out these prizes here. It's my pleasure to do so. I'll have them shipped off to you. As always, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Hit the notification bell and hype the video, folks. All right, that does it. Peace out.